who have logged online. We are going to have an important a discussion on an important issue. And Professor Narayana is always known for coming out with out-of-the-box ideas. And none could beat him in provoking people. And that I hope it is going to happen today. Get ready for that. The discussion assumes importance from a very different many different perspectives. To begin with, if you take up the issue of union and state financial relations, I recently got corrected. I always used to say center state, or Mohan used the correct word union. I learned one lesson from him. And we are, especially states from the south, are of the view that we are not getting the due share. And our Honorable Finance Minister and Chairperson always say that our share declined from almost 3.8% of the total divisible pool during the 10th Finance Commission. Today it has halved to 1.9%. And it is a major point of complaint that for him. And he always asks for more. He has to ask for. He has to ask for more. We have our finance minister saying recently, the last KIFBI meeting, he declared the dream of India becoming a developed country by 2047. And he said, when states grow, India grows. Such a perceptive statement could come only from a chief minister turned prime minister. And when it comes to the question is, are the states are made to grow? There could be serious doubts, especially from people from the south. When the Finance Commission members, Mr. Jha recently said that your per capita income increase like anything, we are here to, our job is to facilitate balanced development. So we have to take it from Peter and give to Paul. There's no other way. So there is equity considerations are at the fore. So a narrow-minded person like me will ask whether equity considerations are overpowering the efficiency considerations. So we argue that for UP, their share remained consistently at 20%, etc., etc. And 1918, yeah, but it has not declined much like ours. And we in the south are getting discriminated. Now, in this context, Professor Narayana is asking certain very pertinent questions. And it is of importance, not only in addressing a major problem that Kerala faces, like 1 among every 8 person or 7 person is a migrant here. And also, if all the migrant workers tomorrow says, okay, we are not going to work, Kerala will be instanced, no doubt. Not only agriculture sector, not only service sector, not only industry. So in this context, what could be done? I think that is perhaps Professor Narayana is going to ask. I quickly read through, I just took the printout only 5 minutes ago. So I'm sorry about it. So I think we have 2 eminent persons. Oh, sorry, my welcome is actually, I exceeded the job, sorry. My job is only for welcoming. These are my way of welcoming because, I am a habitual chair. He has taken care of my, usurped into my job. So I'm sorry about this long, fair, unwanted introduction. I know on which my honorable chair will approve of my initial remarks. And I request R. Mohan, our honorary professor, to chair this meeting and conduct the proceeding. Over to you. Person from periphery is coming to center now.
I don't know how many of you contribute or share the dependency theory of Samir Amin, Andre, Gundar, Frank, and others. I don't know. Anyway, I think your director is a believer in that. Good. Now, coming to the point, no need to introduce the presenter. You all know Professor Narayana. Over to him for making the presentation.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Director, and thanks, Mohan. I thought you will say a few words, but anyway, so all the ammunition for later. Okay. Now, let me begin by saying, what provoked me to work on this subject. Huh? No, we'll open it. Of course, you all know that I have been working on, issues related to union, state relations, the flow of funds, and, the issues, because, if you are in gift, you have no other go but has to jump into it. And I was the director here, so some of the momentous times one was the director here, so one had to work on these things. Even otherwise, for a long time, various other pressures brought me to work on this. Now, recently, I met, I don't know how many of you know, Professor Nataraj, who was the director of MIDS, I think 2 decades ago. He's a good friend of mine. He told me, Narayana, all these, southern states are really worried with the delimitation, the coming, and I think we need to do something. No, he had already lined up something, and then, he tells me that we have to do something. And I said, yes, it's important. Then he said, we'll organize a seminar in Mysore. I thought it's a good idea. But then the next thing comes, Narayana, you have to write a paper. So I said, writing a paper will be difficult, but anyway, I agreed. But then I started thinking about it. Then I sent him an abstract and saying that, this is wonderful. This is what I was looking for. That's what he said. That's not the abstract that you see here. It was a very short version of the things. Then I started thinking about it, and fortunately for me, I could finish the very draft paper in somewhat of a record time, sort of a thing. Normally it doesn't happen, but almost 1 month before the seminar, the paper is ready. So then I thought, before trying it out, because it's a slightly complicated sort of a subject and there are various interrelated issues, so I thought, why not I try it here? This is what I always tell students, try it here and then go. And I am also a student, so I thought I'll try it here. And then, in fact, I'm trying it 2 places. I'm trying it here, and next week I'll be trying it in Cochin also before I go to Mysore. Varun, please. Yeah. So, with these words, let me turn to the subject. First, what I do is, there are 2 issues. He's already there. Okay, good.
Professor Turnquist, welcome. We are very happy to have you. Right.
Sorry, going to. Yeah, I think so. It's a very lengthy title. Southern India Parliamentary Representation, Resource Sharing, and Provision of Responsive Public Services post 2026. I am also taking anticipatory bail so that if somebody asks me immediate 16th Finance Commission, and I don't want to mix that up. So as you would see, there are 2-3 issues. One is the parliamentary representation, because this has become a hot issue. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cover these 2-3 issues. Now, this parliamentary representation, as you all know, the constitutional 84th amendment, according to that, the constituency borders were frozen until the first census after 2026. So now it looks like that census may even happen in 27 or so, because now it doesn't look like the 21 census is going to happen this year anyway out. Next year also it's very unlikely. So it looks like instead of 31, we might even have it in 26 or 27 late. And that means it's almost imminent. So whatever we have to do, we will have to do it immediately. That's the urgency of the issue. And in fact, 1971 census served as the basis for the current Lok Sabha seats, as you all know. And not only that, even in the finance commissions, that has been the population that has been used till 2000, till the 14th Finance Commission. Of course, 14th Finance Commission brought a new dimension. You all know about it. I don't want to get into it. But the 15th Finance Commission, after a long, I think, 2-3 decades, then, it uses the 2011 population. And then you know what happened, what the director referred to, the Kerala share polling and, all that sort of a thing. So I thought it's an important issue for us. Then, of course, related to that, and also there is an independent dimension, is the resource sharing. What happens to the tax share? Now, that's the issue that I'm going to discuss. And what's my argument? My argument is that the share in total population of the southern states, now that, we need not worry too much about that. Why am I saying this? That's because if you go by the experience of Maharashtra and Gujarat, what you find is that, their share has not fallen. In fact, there is a slight increase. So if that can happen, then I don't think we really have to worry too much about it. That is one of the arguments that I'm going to put forward, because normally you don't hear this because everybody says you will be worried. But I have a slightly contrary view on this. Then, and the reason for it is that one thing which is missed out in all these discussions, like what you saw even last Saturday and Sunday also, migration just doesn't come to the center. I think migration has to come to the center of the discussion, but somehow it doesn't come. And if you take that migration issue, it gives a slightly different perspective. And that's why Maharashtra and Gujarat, you see the share, their population share in the total has not fallen, largely because of that. And now the migration has largely shifted to south, and it is not Maharashtra or Gujarat. It's in fact the southern states, even Karnataka, a sender, the last decade or so, it has also become a large receiver of migrants. So migration is a very important issue. We cannot afford to ignore that. And once you take that into account, but of course, anyway, I'll get into substantive issues later. That's one set of issues. Then the second is horizontal tax sharing. Now, if you look at the formula that has been used by finance commissions and the principle, horizontal, fiscal equity or what equalization, that has been the principle that has been followed by and large by all the finance commissions. And that has led to a certain sort of a, revenue sharing, but southern states have generally, have lost out on that in the last few commissions. That's for a very different reason, because as what Mr. Jha was saying the other day, because your incomes are growing at such a rate that whoever tries, cannot save you. That's what. So that is the reason why the share has been falling. But on top of that, the GST, has brought a new dimension. It's a regressive tax. Not only that, it has actually sapped whatever autonomy, fiscal autonomy these states have. So you have a regressive tax. So tax as an instrument for, redistribution or that sort of a thing is simply not available. And then, that has to be done through expenditure. But to do that, you require some on revenue sort of a thing. But then you don't have that because your fiscal autonomy is gone. So my argument is that, so GST will have to be tweaked. Otherwise, there are danger signs. So this is basically the argument. So let me first take up the population issue. Now, this table, what I have done is, on one side, you will see the total fertility rate. Now, remember that around 2.1 is the replacement fertility rate. Below that means your share in the total will tend to fall. Above that, it will tend to rise. That is why the TFR is shown. And what you see in the columns is the change, the percentage point change in the population share between 71 and 2011. So those who have low TFR, they should be losing, they should be having negative numbers. That is 2011 minus 71 should give you negative numbers. And those whose TFR is above that 2.13, they should have positive. That means their share should be going up. That is the idea behind this table. And that's exactly what you find. You look at the second quadrant, where you would expect share to fall, and that's what you find. And quadrant 4, you expect it to increase, and that's exactly what you find here. Because it's very neatly arranged, you see. But there is some, of course, some states for the same TFR, Kerala is somewhere here, which loses more than 1 percentage point, whereas West Bengal is slightly better, Himachal Pradesh is much better, and there is some, but that's because the relationship is not uniform across all the states. It depends on the population composition and at what time you had the fertility decline and things of that sort. So that's why you'll see that. But what is curious is that, you see, not so much these 4 states. Now, even when you have fairly low TFR, look at Maharashtra. They have a positive change. That is, they have not, their population share, they have not lost the population share. Same, you have Telangana, Tripura, Sikkim, and if you can add Gujarat, this is the important thing to note. Very, very important. Because normally this should not have happened. That's where migration does play a part. Because what you get is the observed population numbers. So that has a natural growth plus the migration. Easy way to separate this out. But that's why you will not get an exact relationship or not. But even with all these gross sort of errors or whatever it is, you get a very neat relationship. That's a striking thing about this table. I didn't expect to get, when I started the work, I didn't think that it will come out so neatly. Now, let's now see what has happened to the share. If you take groups of these states, what were there in the 4th quadrant, what has happened to their share? It was about 38.557, which has increased to 42.7. We have 4 percentage point increase, whereas the southern states, except Telangana, 22 has come down to 18. Maharashtra and Gujarat and Telangana, following from the previous table, just look at this. In fact, it has shown a slight increase. Though both Maharashtra and Gujarat below replacement TFR, but the population share hasn't. Now, Odisha and West Bengal, you would ideally, expect that their share would not have fallen, but their share has fallen. That's because large, net out migration. TFR Because if you look at the fertility transition in India, long ago, the doyen of demographers, Maribird, late Maribird, he had said that fertility transition follows the monsoon. That's exactly. So along with the southern state, it is Odisha, West Bengal, who had the head start. And that's why you see the fertility falls becomes low for these Odisha and Bengal. There's also large net out migration. That's why they are losing population share. And Himachal Pradesh and Punjab also, you will see, this is a very, very interesting sort of it's worth spending time on these numbers. Now, as I said, migration does play a very, very important role, but unfortunately, we do not have good estimates of migration. And there are very serious problems with the migration estimates. But fortunately, Arvind Subramaniam, when he was the chief economic advisor, there was this interesting economic survey where they came up with some interesting methodologies to rework. Firstly, estimate migration from the census, also rework some of these numbers using other approaches. And using the census data, what they found was something very, very interesting. They found that between 91 and 2001, look at which are the states which were gaining: Maharashtra, Gujarat, Kerala. You see, they were getting a lot of migrants. And which are the sending states? Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Rajasthan. But come the next decade, of course, here what the numbers you see is 20-29 age group. The total is about 5 times that. Anyway, these are the details. If there are questions, I'll get into that. But it's just to give a sense of where are people going, from where they're coming, that sort of a thing. But the most important thing is that this is between 91 and 2001. 2011, just look at these numbers. You see, Tamil Nadu, in the previous decade, it was almost insignificant. It is 26,000. But look at it. It's one of the highest. And look at Maharashtra, it was the highest, that is 10 lakhs. Now it has become 5 lakhs. So, Karnataka, it was negative. Now you see, it's a large positive. That is that's very, very interesting sort of a figure. Now you know why we got those shares. Why Maharashtra and Gujarat didn't lose population share. And I have, a further, okay. Andhra is there, but there is nothing much very interesting. So I'm not going into each of the state. But there is also, as I said, census estimates. There are some serious problems, because my own guess is that I had looked at this some time ago. At least for some states, even census doesn't count the migrants. There are very serious problems, the enumeration. So census is well known in urban areas, because long ago there were papers on Bombay and all, about 40 years ago, how migrants are undercounted, and there are estimates of that. I believe similar thing is happening in Kerala as well, because you see, firstly, census, there are these 2 steps. House listing. So there is a definition of a house. Second, households. Households around kitchen. Food from the same kitchen. Now, you must have seen in many areas here, you have 5, 6, 10 boys in one room where there is no kitchen. So do they, so each individual is not counted as a household, neither is the group counted as a household. So what happens to them? And there are other ways of checking it. You see, if they are being counted in the census, you should have a disproportionately high proportion of single member households that you don't see. You see Kerala, tallies with many other states. Or if all of them are one household, then you should have proportion of households with large numbers, a higher proportion, but that also you don't see. So my guess is that there are serious, counting problems. Now this gets confirmed by economic survey estimates, because census, you see, that chapter, it's worth reading. It's a very interesting chapter. You have census estimates, which give you an annual flow of 3.3 million. And they have worked using railway tickets. In fact, the originator of that, I think I should be given some credit. I didn't use the railway tickets, but our estimate of Kerala migrants was on a basis of a train survey. But then this idea was borrowed, and they had the access to train ticket data, and they used it. And that estimate is something like 11 million annual flow. So you just see obviously the underestimation must have been pretty serious. Anyway, whatever it is, but it gives you the clear picture that that this makes a huge difference. But there is something one needs to see. Now look at Maharashtra. You see, it was 71. It was coming down very slightly, but then 81 onwards, it's not there. It's an additional table. You see, it's actually going up. You see the migration is making a difference. Now, interestingly, in the southern states, you see, look at Tamil Nadu, 7.5 in 1971. Comes down by 0.5 percentage point, another 0.5 percentage point, further point, it's a large reduction. But then just look at this. There is practically no reduction. It is 6.0 something, it is 5.96. You see, this tallies with the migration numbers, which I shown earlier. But this unfortunately doesn't happen with Kerala, because Kerala, it's a steady, you see, 3.8 has become 2.7 something. That's a huge decline. For a 1 percentage point is a large decline. Now, the part of the reason is, of course, we have this large international migration. Further, the undercounting also, because that would be there in Tamil Nadu also, but then Tamil Nadu, I think the undercounting may be less in Tamil Nadu because the numbers are large. So these are some of the things which need further work, but I think it's worth pursuing because this is quite the pattern becomes fairly clear. Broad brush, I think it is clear. One can go into the nitty-gritty and start, bombarding each other, but I think the broad picture is clear. That is as far as the population thing is concerned. Now let me turn to the horizontal transfer. Now, this is fairly well known. That is, the intergovernmental transfer in a quasi-federal setup or in federal setup is for horizontal fiscal equalization. The basic principle is that there are economic disabilities, and these have to be, if the subnational jurisdictions have to provide public services of comparable volume and quality, then you need to have something like, the fiscal equalization. This is fairly well known. I don't want to spend any time on this. And our issue is, if the finance commissions who are tasked with with this responsibility, if they have followed the principle of equalization, how have they sort of done it? Have they adhered to this? And these are the sort of issues. Now, in the initial years, there was not much of a problem because the indicators were basically population and collection. So it tallied with the population share. But what happens is that from the 7th commission onwards, in fact, income distance starts getting a very, very important, that becomes a very important indicator. and its weight starts going up. Now, population weight comes down and income distance, the weight goes up. Now, of course, from the 7th commission onwards, the population also gets fixed, is freezed at 1971. Now, once you move out of the population, of course, the large weight of the population, once that goes out, and income distance becomes an important indicator. Initially what was, I think it is the initial commissions, what they did was they took average income and then collection is very small, just 20%. 80-20. Yes. Yes, we can get into these details, I think, later. But no, also, as you know, till the 11th commission, no, income tax and excise were treated as separate things, and there were different, weights for the population and collection and, things of those sort. But it's from the 10th commission onwards that, 11th onwards, that you had the divisible pool where all the things were, these are all known. I don't want to get into it in any great detail, but income distance itself, it has been used in various ways. In the initial sort of a commission, it was a distance from the average. Those above the average didn't get anything. Then that was thought as not a fair sort of a thing. Then they started doing it from the highest, the distance, and then, even the large incomes, high income streets, they started getting a certain share. And then they also used inverse income in some cases, and all sorts of, one can get into these details, but I'm not going to go into that, because broadly the point is that till the 7th, you had population as the main criteria. After that, it is income distance which takes the bulk of the weight. That is the transition that comes as far as of course, all under the name of horizontal fiscal equalization. Everything is called horizontal fiscal equalization, but the indicators and weights, they undergo a huge sort of a change. So it has continued in that way from, I said 7th, but I have shown the, indicators and weights from 8th to the 15th. Now you'll see population. Of course, 1971 population was used. It's about 25, 20 like that. This income distance, look at this 50, and then you have inverse income 25. So 8, it's actually 75% of the weight falls on the income distance. More or less, 62.5, 60, 62.5, that is the sort of and even the latest, that is 15th, it is actually 45. Very high weight for the income distance. Of course, other things, there are, area, this is basically to take care of the fiscal disabilities, the cost disabilities. Area has come in, forest has come in. It's largely because I think 14th Finance Commission so merit, I think, in our memorandum, because we strongly argued for including forest, basically environmental concerns, saying that it's a global public good and the states are spending money for maintaining these forests and all that. But it's not only helping the nation, but also a global sort of a thing. So they need to be compensated. And I think what the 13th Commission had done is they had taken forest, but they provided a grant by a very complicated formula. But the 14th Commission saw that that's not enough. And then it becomes an indicator in the formula. And the 15th Finance Commission, fortunately, continued with that. Of course, Kerala benefited from that. But then there are some curious things. You see, these are all issues of great importance, but unfortunately, not much work has been done. Now, surprising thing that comes with the 14th and 15th Commission is that Arunachal Pradesh gets a very large share. Just largely because, it's all forest. Area is also very large. Now you see, this is a bit unfair because not as far as Arunachal is concerned, on the other states, because you see, the northeastern states and the small population states, you have that flow, that 2%. Whereas one should have done a similar thing for the forest at the upper end. If you don't do that, this sort of a, rather, I would say, perverse sort of a thing comes about. Forest, yes, but there is a cutoff. Something of that sort should have been done. I think we need to probably put that in our 16th Finance Commission sort of a, when we submit the memorandum, so that, these sort of, it doesn't look very fair. In fact, this point was pointed out to me by C.P. John, because he is one who studies these things and we often have very heated arguments. Then he said, Narayana, it's all fine. You brought all that thing. Kerala benefited, but you see what has happened. So I think that's okay. So this is as far as the formula is concerned. So why are these formulas? What are these supposed to do? Horizontal fiscal equalization. And the result, that share that you get, is a result of these indicators and weights. Now, anyway, now this part, the horizontal fiscal equalization and the basically the point that is made is that, I think I already said it, initially it was sharing the income tax and excise duty, different formulas were used, but population carried a fairly high weight. Then later on, one moved on to, combining all the, tax revenues, and then also from population, you increasingly move to income distance. Okay. Now let us look at the shares, tax shares. What has happened? Because basically what we look at is how have the shares of different states changed. Now, interestingly, there's a very interesting paper by Guhan, 1995. That has been one of the first papers which really carried out a very systematic study on this thing. And they had this classification of high income states, middle income states, and low income states. Basically ranked the states by per capita income and taken the, top 5, and that's the way they have done it. So part of that for table 14 of Guhan, that is the next slide, I'm showing it. And the reference population, of course, is 1971. Of course, 14 and 15, I'll come to that in a minute. Now, this is what you find. The high income states, that's Gujarat, Haryana, Maharashtra, and Punjab, that is the, their population share in 1971 was 18.542. Sixth commission, as I said, since the population carried the bulk of the weight, now you just look at, irrespective of whichever group you have, your population share and the tax share, there are hardly any difference. It's fairly close, 18.54, 18.52, 33, 33, 43, 43. But come to 7th, just see the change. From population, one has gone to income distance. The moment you go high income, see, there is a 3 percentage point drop in their share. And low income, there is a 3% point increase in their share. Middle income, practically no change. Now, and what happens? 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th, you see, systematically comes down, because as the incomes grow and as it carries the 60-70% weight, you see, this comes down. And this goes up. So if you take these 5 commissions together, what you find is that from 18, it has come down to 12, almost 6 percentage point fall, and there is a 6 percentage point gain for the low income states. Middle income, which are largely the South Indian states and West Bengal, there's practically no change during this entire period. Please make a note of it, because now we are making a big fuss about this thing. But you see, Maharashtra and Gujarat, they didn't say much on all these days. They didn't raise their voice, and but now we are raising it, but not this day. Because these states we didn't, there was not much change. One of the reasons, as I said, is that it's largely because of the differential income growth. Now, this is something which there's again a working paper by Mohan and Shaijan done in 2009. There, it's a very lengthy paper. I'm part of it. I'm just bringing up here because Guhan's paper didn't have a detailed treatment of the income differentials and all that, but Mohan and Shaijan's paper does have. And what is very interesting is that, of course, we had these groups of low income, high income. How that loses its importance, I'll come in a minute. But before that, of course, up to Mohan and Shaijan's, the period of analysis 1980 to 2006. The initial years, that position doesn't change. But already by 1995, Punjab had lost its top position. If you go by per capita income, it has fallen. And in the middle income category, West Bengal was the top state. Now, by 1995, it had fallen to the bottom. Not only that, if you look at the ratio of average income of high income group to that of low income group, it has risen from 1.86 in 80-85 to 2.40. This is actually from Mohan and Shaijan's paper. And ratio of per capita income, middle income to low income, 1.25 to 1.87. And the result is the distance between the middle and high, actually that is narrowing down. That is what was happening up to 2006. Now, I have looked at the numbers beyond 2006. And what you find is that something very, very interesting. In fact, if you look at the South Indian states, in 2011-12, their share in the GDP, Indian GDP was only about 20%. By 1920, it had become 29. So that shows the rate at which our incomes, the South Indian states, the incomes have been growing. Now, yeah. So what happens is, already by 11-12, Gujarat and Punjab, Haryana and Maharashtra retains the top, but Gujarat and Punjab move out of that high income group. And Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka occupy that 2, 3, 4, that middle sort of a position in 2011-12. But by 1920, of course, Gujarat regained, goes back along with Haryana, but Maharashtra has actually fallen and Punjab also falls. And the second to fifth positions are actually taken by the South Indian states. That's the income growth. And this is very, very important because income distance is the indicator which is used in the, all the horizontal share. And if you look at the ratio, because this is what Professor Govindra keeps on telling in meetings. Now, you see, you will find that by 2011-12, the ratio of per capita income of Haryana to that of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh was 4.88 and 3.31. By 2019-20, it has become 5.96 and 4.12. You didn't have this sort of a differentials, but now you see the differentials are widening by the day. Now, this has implications for the sharing of the taxes. Now, if you look at these numbers from 11 to 15, what you find is that retaining the same high income, middle income, they are no more, but I'm continuing with that. What you would find is that, you see, look at the high income, it actually steadily goes up because those high incomes are no more high incomes. Whereas the middle income, you see, it is coming down. Low income, they gain, but not really much. That's what you find. So that's because those, of course, what you call middle income.
10 point. gain.
No, but Joseph, what I'm doing is I'm continuing with the old grouping. Now that's not fair because now the rankings have completely changed. So what I do is, that's why the next, sorry. So now there's no point talking about the groups. So what I've done is taken Gujarat and Haryana, South India, and then the low income states, but this low income compared to the other, Orissa is missing here. Now what you find is, look at the Gujarat and Maharashtra, see, they are gaining. Their share is actually going up. For two reasons. One is population share is going, and incomes, income distance, they are not really on top. Maharashtra is systematically coming down. Southern states are going up. That's why Gujarat and Maharashtra, there is not much of a problem, like what you saw earlier. But look at South India. See, 21 has become 16 or below 16. That's a 5 percentage point drop. So no wonder the South Indian states are complaining and they're saying that now with the delimitation, what will happen? It will further create problems. So, and look at the low income, not much of an increase. So it is basically South India and Gujarat, Maharashtra and other states, not so much of low income states. That's the, so it's a bigger picture is not as simple as what Guhan worked out. Now it's become much more complex. But the point is that South India has been losing its share. Yeah, please.
Increase to 49. More than their population share they are getting.
Yeah.
That is
Because
the-
earlier, yes. Now, you see, here also, even Gujarat and Maharashtra, even when say it has gone from 7 to 9, their population share, you see, it has remained at 14. It's almost 15%. But yes. In fact,
Yeah, 6 point more.
yeah.
6 point more.
Yes. Yeah. No, but South India, you just look at it. You see, even when we have 21% population, you see, it's only 16%. And that is why, you must be hearing all this. We give 1 rupee tax and we get only 31, 47. It's all basically this. Anyway.
Applicable to Kerala.
No, 25 to 21, 5 points.
We'll have the reactions after the.
Yeah, I think that will be, yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
others.
Yeah. Now, what the discussion so far says is that the low fertility and low natural population growth has a counter in migration. That is what you find in Maharashtra and Gujarat case. But so that prolonged period, they also face that decline in their share, tax share. But with the migration coming in and the population share going up and their per capita incomes not growing as fast as the South, they are now gaining. But currently, South India is in a position where Maharashtra and Gujarat were earlier. Now, hopefully, so what it means is that as migration increases, maybe South India also, the population share will go up. Not only that, when the population is a denominator, your per capita income could also may not show such a, but still it will be increasing at a rate which is much higher. So, and as long as income distance is a indicator with a large weight, there is simply no escape from this fact that the South Indian states will lose out if they continue to follow the so-called horizontal fiscal equality. Of course, it's all because everybody talks about equity. If you do believe in equity, we have to do that sort of a thing. That's the argument. Now, let me come to a related sort of a thing. Of course, any sort of federal system, they talk about equitable provision of public services, which requires a satisfactory mechanism for resolving the vertical and horizontal imbalances. Now, the finance commissions are often tasked with this responsibility. And there is this very interesting, yeah. So what happens is that, as Alexis Stockwell's observation, of course, he is referring to the US federal system, or, in great centralized nations, the legislator is obliged to give a character of uniformity to the laws, which does not always suit the diversity of outcomes, diversity of customs and districts, as he takes no cognizance of special cases. He can only proceed upon general principles. I'm using it saying that, the horizontal fiscal equalization. You see, commissions have to go by such sort of a principles. They can't just go because there is diversity. Each diversity they cannot consider. So they have to go by that. But despite that, what the commissions often do is they use Article 275, the grants, to meet some of these specificities. But then, given the ratios between grants and the tax share, that is neither here nor there. So also, we are so diverse, some of the states, that even the best efforts, like you must have heard Govinda Rao saying the other day, that the 13th Finance Commission was giving money to renovate ponds of the temples. Now, you see, you can't blame the commission if you have this perspective, because our diversity is so large that, on one side you go by a principle, but then immediately you have this problem, because then you are not taking care of the diversity. You go to take care of the diversity, then of course you will have to face the criticism. Okay. So now there could also be other problems with this approach of equal treatment. Now, this is beautifully put by Vito Tanzi about 20 years ago. You see, I quote, when income levels of regions within a country are relatively equal, and when important natural resources are not concentrated in one region, it is easier to have a well-functioning decentralized system. But what you see today is that incomes are not equal. In fact, they are diverging at such a rapid rate, then you have a problem. So the problem can only be resolved if you have more fiscal decentralization. Now, in fact, urgency of it increases because of these four different developments. What are these four developments? The first is that, as deepening of democratization takes place, the voices of these diverse regions have to be heard. So if you were to win an election in Karnataka, probably you'll have to give free, bus tickets to women. And maybe, you can't blame them for that. Because now is the time. In fact, today I was reading the survey results saying that people are really happy with what government has done so far, because that is what they are expecting their government to do. That's one sort of a thing. So it's a sign of deepening democratization. So governments at the local level have to listen to these voices, and they have no other go but to do that. Secondly, globalization is creating market areas that are no longer identified with the national territories. In fact, they are linked to the global markets. Now, this is very much true if you take about Bangalore or Hyderabad or, even Chennai. So why should they be looking at Delhi? They should be looking elsewhere, because their growth and a whole lot of those things are, because of this globalization. That's the second. Third, once, that sort of a growth takes place, the people would also like decentralization. They may consider it as a superior good. Why should all the decisions be taken in Delhi? Why not decisions about Karnataka be taken in Bangalore and about Kerala be in Trivandrum? And why should uniform sort of a policies? I think that pressure will also be very strong. And fourthly, income increases. And what I just mentioned a few minutes ago, that we pay 1 rupee, but we only get 31. That sort of information and awareness will also increase. So no wonder people will start demanding that. Now, this realization will lead to demands. So if you have to address these in one way or the other, okay? There is also an altogether different reason for more sort of a money for the states, because states allow the states. This is something which Louis Brandeis, writing in 1932, almost 100 years ago, was saying that states will do, they will experiment. They have to be allowed to experiment. That is the beauty of federal systems. Now, if they have to experiment, they require money for that. They need resources. And that, you have a number of examples of US. You have a number of examples of India also. Now, look at our midday meal scheme. Yeah, it's a Kerala and Tamil Nadu experiment which became national sort of a thing over a period of time. Or, yes, employment guarantee scheme or health insurance. These are all because of the experiments. So we have that. So I think if you have to carry out such experiments, you require resources. That is where this balance of the vertical structure of resources, that becomes very, very important. Now, if local government, that will mean state governments, if they have to experiment, they require own resources. Now, this is important for two reasons, because central funds come with strings attached, like our example of CSS, you heard a lot about that. Second, heavy dependence on grants destroy the incentives for responsible decisions. Now, the GST, as I said already, has complicated matters because you have no own revenue. There is no balance, because that's also earlier we had the freedom to choose the goods, whether to tax or not, or how much, what rate. But now you see, it's simply not there. So that own revenue, that's really not there. That fiscal space is completely lost. So how do you really experiment, or how do you meet, all those four things that I mentioned? So that is the big question. Now, how do we move forward? Now, as regarding population share, I have already mentioned that. I don't want to repeat it. It's basically one thing that one has to see to it is that population census makes a good count of the migrants. Then I think South, it may not be such a serious problem, because Tamil Nadu numbers I already pointed out, because it's not falling the way it has been falling the last 30, 40 years. Kerala, of course, we need to, because we have, we are in a very different sort of a situation, but I think we need to make an effort to get these people counted. Now, whatever is needed for that, we have to have some ideas. That's one. Second, income distance, there is nothing much we can do, because incomes will tend to grow much more rapidly in the South. There is simply no doubt about that. But GST, I think my own idea is that right now we cannot consider any part of GST as own revenue. But what you could probably do is, now that they are saying that the system is more or less stabilized and all that, now why not tweak it? Tweak the GST. Have a low base rate, which is equally distributed between the center and the state. Allow the states to have an additional SGST, which can vary across the state. If Kerala requires more money, they have their citizens will pay a slightly higher rate. It anyway falls on the final consumers, because all the others get netted out. And if UP doesn't want it, they have a lower rate. So something of that sort. Then the states will have their own revenue and they have the freedom what to do. Like what we tried during the, that after the floods. We said we want assess. Something of that sort, it's workable. I think one needs to go for that, but it's not cess. I think that should be integrated with the tax structure. So that is what is probably needed. And that would probably, no, this is also needed because GST is a very regressive sort of a structure. So if you want to know what is happening in Karnataka, if you have to meet that sort of a demand, you require that money. So that additional thing, by an additional incremental GST. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Narayana, for a very interesting and refreshing presentation. We will open the floor for discussion. Before that, give me at least less than 5 minutes for making certain quick comments. One, this is a very refreshing and out of the box. It's much beyond. It's a very refreshing presentation in the sense. Let me put it this way. He has gone beyond the lament. We have been lamenting that our tax share is falling. What do? Kerala is not getting enough. According to me, as a person, that's not federalism, that is somewhat regionalism. I couldn't somehow mentally participate comfortably in that discussion. Today, Professor Narayana has come with certain alternatives, and as he rightly pointed out, Wallace Oates had also pointed out about laboratory federalism. If Maharashtra and Gujarat can succeed in doing something, why can't Kerala and southern states do the same instead of lamenting our tax share is falling? Now, my comment one, with all the minuses the Indian fiscal federal system is having, I think we have a very strong mechanism in having a constitutional body, finance commissions under Article 280. This is beyond the paper, I'm just traveling beyond it. Even in a tight mold federal country like USA, which has been federal since the Philadelphia Convention of 1789, there is no body like the Finance Commission. Australia has got a loans council and other things, but we have a mechanism. But right now, we are standing in the cusp of history, which Dr. Shashi Tharoor had also pointed out in a recent function. We have an exacerbating demographic imbalance. Two, it has its fiscal as well as political impacts. Three, what can the tax sharing formula do with it? Now, this exacerbating demographic imbalance is happening because certain states have gone to the other end of the demographic curve, while other states are at the tail end of the demographic curve. Certain states have large out migration to other countries, and they have huge in-migration which is not getting counted, for which Professor Narayana is making a way out. Now, I will start from the last point. He's suggesting own your migrants. I mean, it's a very good suggestion. We have been calling them guest workers, travel an extra mile and make them your own. Make them part of your cultural ethos so that they can come. But I have a fear and a trepidation here because Maharashtra and Gujarat historically have got certain cultural pull-in factors, which whether Kerala can have now. I mean, I am not pessimistic about it. I mean, he has come with a new suggestion. Kerala must be able to have it. Our outlook and other things will have to change to accommodate the new persons as our own. He has said that they should be given housing with clean sanitary conditions, a very welcome suggestion. But to own them as our own, we have to travel much more. There have been incidents of discriminatory treatment against migrant workers in many places, violence towards them, treating them as first suspect when a theft takes place. I mean, lot of cultural attitudes and prejudices also will have to change. I am traveling beyond this paper now. Number two, he has talked rightly about the exacerbating or the rising disparities in per capita income as well as fall in tax shares. One is a corollary of the other, given your tax sharing formula. Now, the joint cry of the southern states with Chandrababu Naidu as its head and our own then Chief Minister E.K. Nayanar, at that time, I think M. Karunanidhi in Tamil Nadu, it started when the 11th Finance Commission, the shares precipitously fell. It gave 62.5% weightage for income distance. But later finance commissions, to give them the credit, give them their due, have been hovering around 45 to 50. If we want to further lower, we are disturbing a delicate balance. Now, here again, what Narayana said, Professor Narayana said, assumes importance because without disturbing the delicate balance, when you say that Kerala share should go up, you can't touch Bihar or UP share. After all, we are a representative parliamentary democracy, a nation, a national integration. You can't harm somebody to gain here. So gain without pain means we have to work out. We have been attracting migrant labor from those states, count them as our own, count them as our children, and then use them as to be counted as our population. That's a very nice proposition. Now again, there is a third angle to the whole thing, which Kiran is also working, which we had also tried to work actually. I don't know where we reached. The richer and poorer states, when we say, are poorer states benefiting unduly? I have my own doubts, because when you talk about the own tax revenue GSDP ratio of the middle, poor, high, low and middle income states, you are finding a convergence from 91 to 2018-19. After the period he has worked, I don't know whether he's finding the same result. He has to enlighten us. This convergence is not a very welcome convergence. This convergence is happening amidst a divergence in per capita income. What does it convey? Does it talk well about our efficiency in tax collection? I would say no. Because we are saying that we are being penalized for our development. We are not able to mobilize the taxes we otherwise could have mobilized from property taxes and so many other things, which poorer states have been able to mobilize. Let us give them the credit for that. There also we need to work out something. Now, how much can we complicate the tax sharing formula? Tax sharing formula is intended so that a citizen, irrespective of his or her place of residence, has to get certain minimum standard services irrespective of the place of her or his residence. Given that, we cannot complicate much of the tax sharing formula. When we go for the latest population, pari passu, the income distance share has to come down. Whether that happens, we have to see. Both means you will be crushed. I mean, that cannot happen. But fiscal autonomy of the states, I have another self-critical grievance. We have very enthusiastically gone and surrendered our fiscal autonomy. That the World Bank's committee suggested that there should be a base rate. The empowered committee of finance ministers with Ashim Das Gupta as the chairperson agreed for harmonized rates. Kerala deviated from that. UP sometimes deviated from that. UP entered that later. For GST, who were the best apostles of GST? I do not, I am not commenting, but states were bribed into GST with compensation package. Now GST has come to stay. How far we can disturb, I don't know. If every state can vary the tax rate, GST administration, whether it will not go haywire, I am asking him. Whether that extra tax also, whether should be uniform or not. If every state can have separate extra tax rates, what would happen to GST? And I do not know. He has to, some GST expert has to enlighten us. My last doubt towards this audience is that widening income disparities have been recognized. When we say income disparities are being widened, in the matter of fiscal equalization, can we say that income distance should get a lesser tax share? This will drive us into the thin edge of a wedge. So here again, what Professor Narayana says, let us reduce this gap by having innovative methods of warning the migrants. This assumes importance. He has gone beyond the layman and much beyond. Open the floor for questions, please. Sorry for taking a long time. People also, please. The floor is open now. Minutes to close. 5:30 we will close. So come up with the questions fast, please.
I think I was, well, is there, right? He's not, yeah. I think I thought the presentation was, and the discussion with both remarkable job. in terms of the question of, if I understood correctly, the question of inequality, in fact, particularly in the event of globalization. Now we are having growth, and one of the major fallout of inequality, fallout of the globalization is, in essence, a growing inter-country and intra-country. That's an important point. I was actually thinking, what about coastal region, coastal area that a country, state has? Coastal area brings its benefits as well as disadvantages, particularly in the event of global warming, sea level rising, and unpredicted weather conditions. The states with longer coastlines are expected to spend much more money, first of all, by way of protecting people from this thing, and also by way of that has got both short-term and long-run, anticipated and unanticipated. So whether this could be a point which Kerala could leverage with the 16th Finance Commission, wherein Kerala is likely to benefit perhaps. At the same time, this might be a counterpoint saying that earlier studies by Alwali and others argued that when you talk about the inter-regional inequality, the coastal regions have been the gainers and the inland states have been the losers. So this is one point which I was thinking. I don't know whether I was actually excited while I was talking about Narayana, the manner in which these Maharashtra and Gujarat accommodated their migrant population by way of providing them with local residency. And why not we do it so that, this will increase. They will be, instead of just living on. Today, what happens is that since they are here, they don't spend much. This, whenever we get people, you all know that they just buy a pack of rice and some fish or some meat the whole day. And once a potato and dal. And instead, when the family comes, they will start buying a fridge and they will, buying more clothes for the children. So there may be, and if the GST system works effectively, perhaps our demand inducement because of the increased population might.
Items, they will buy taxable
items. Exactly. You're right. Oh, very good. Now that's a very good insight. Shifting them to the included items, not instead. And also the kind of outflow that happens from the state, for example, today, your own estimate is 25,000 crore. Right? It might have doubled by now. So that could be kind of arrested. But then we have to really look at, say, for example, and it is being recorded, so I'm not going to say the general, while we tell them, we salute them like guest workers, someday they have become troublemakers also. So whether it is going to add, what do you mean? I mean, there is a perception, there's a perception, at least in my neighborhood it is there. So we have so it should be, at least I should be careful. So I'm trying the both sides. So I think I just thought of flagging of these points.
The coastal area, in one of the memorandums, I don't remember whether 13th or 14th, we actually worked an index and put it there. But you see, there are no takers for that sort of a thing. See, the Finance Commission members, their attitudes, their affiliations, all these matter. So,
if we keep on pushing.
no, but that worked for forest areas. Fortunately, 14th Finance Commission, we had a favorable.
Why not the forest area clicks? Why not on this?
Yeah, we can try.
Why can't this be? Because others will be there to join us, in fact.
Yeah, that is only a hope, but because some of these states, they get their memorandum written by, so that's a very, Anyway.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Narayana sir, for a different way of looking at things. Actually, the inclusion of this migrant workers in the census thing, my apprehension is that whether it will lead to duplication, because when we include the migrant workers, automatically the other states also will include, and they can, because once the time of census, Yeah, that possibility is there, and also out migration. Our out migration means our students and so many, nurses or so many persons are going out. Whether those persons will include in their census thing, I don't know. Some that sort of implementation issues may come. That is one. That's my doubt. And another thing is that no, rather than going to adjust with the horizontal adjustment, we have to think of a vertical, adjustment. That is getting more revenue from central government by inclusion of cess and surcharges, and then the cake will increase, and automatically, then this, high income states also will benefit because of the increase in cake. And anyway, constitutionally also we have to provide the benefits to this poor income, states people. That's why, more concentration on a vertical equity thing also, that to adjustment is also very important. Another thing is that, regarding this SGST rate band, I think earlier also there was a thinking that states, and if there is a range of 1, 2 or 3% adjustment, if a state is getting, according to their needs, they can increase the GST rate accordingly. Maybe if it is in a almost uniform way, the GST can also work accordingly. That thing is also there. And another point is that because of the scarcity of land in Kerala, whether we can accommodate these migrant laborers here in a positive way, that is also there. Considering the fiscal stringency of the state, whether state can support them, that is another issue. And also the climate and other conditions, whether they can bring their family here, and so many issues are related to that. So these are my apprehensions regarding this. Thank you.
Sir, with regard to the okay, sir.
You see, migration, it doesn't have to be like that, because once they are here, they will be counted here. Now what is happening is that neither are they counted here, nor are they counted there.
They are counted there,
No, only you are resident. If you are not resident.
No, sir, I tell you something. If my daughter, this is not migrant thing. If they are going out, when the census people come, we used to say there is 4 people. My daughter is also here. So, and even if somebody going out means outside India, also we count. Yeah, that is a way. That is my general understanding.
Nobody declared that, okay,
No, but you see, no, ration and all, that's a different, but the point, you see, whether they counted there or not, that's not the issue. It is not counted here. You see,
that's a fact.
Yeah, if the government is supposed to provide public services, health, transport, water, electricity, we are doing it. Yeah, it is cost for the state. So they have to be counted because we are providing now they are not being counted here. That is the issue. So now this is something which,
COVID case, there were a huge cost.
Yeah, there was even otherwise, it's a cost. Also there is a public health cost. There's a huge public health cost because they're often living in very unsanitary conditions. Of course, we are responsible for that because our municipal regulations are not being followed and there are no enforcements. That's of course a part of the problem, but that is an issue. And that's why, and this needs to be highlighted because people seem to think that, oh, they're here, they're counted, or this census is a black box for many people, population census. And I think it's important that, we discuss it in public so that everybody becomes aware of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
One point,
Yeah.
Since you're going to GST about migration itself,
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay,
Yeah.
please.
Rather than asking for a tax or inclusion in the tax devolution criteria, why can't we ask for a state specific grant for supporting these people like that way?
Revolution criteria.
This will naturally indirectly affect population and it will get affected. No, we were actually asking that since they are here, our naturally population will increase. So naturally, we get
An implicit reflection in the tax sharing formula.
Yeah.
Yes.
that is the.
Yeah.
I was, if you don't mind, related to migration, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
She is going to migration. Are you going to talk about? No, regarding the migration thing. Regarding migration, first of all, we don't have a precise understanding of a migrant's mindset regarding migration. That's very important. We can't sit here and impose upon that. To begin with, as far as my own only case studies, I talk to all the people who come to work with me for my knowledge. See, what they do is they make pretty good sum. They send when they send the money, some of them fly in. Some of them fly into Kerala. When they go, they buy land there. And now the question is, will they like to be becoming rich over there through a remittance there, or transplanting to an altogether different cultural context? We are after all Indian. Will they really do that? By doing that, will they do it? Then can we have a policing and say that you must otherwise put into jail? Can we do that? Because in a country like in a setup like that, we have the freedom of mobility and work everywhere. That is ensured the fundamental right. So if we really push this thing too far, will it be adversely affecting certain constitutionally given rights of Indian citizens? Can we do? I mean, this is what I'm only worried. I'm only worried.
No, I'll.
It's not pushing. Give me better.
Yeah,
but
all that I'm saying is that if they are living here, they should be counted.
Yes.
We have to find a way, because right now the definition. No, you see, whether it's a double counting is a no, Ramlingam.
Defeat the purpose of census.
No, you see, yes, Kiran.
No, point related to migration.
See, only migration, nothing else.
Yeah. Actually, there is a new thing that has come up in the migration literature, which is family migration. So if we take that into consideration, then there will be no double counting.
Exactly. Yeah, precise. That's what he is. That's what he said.
So we should be looking at families moving.
I'm just thinking about what is the purpose of doing it? It is something, I think it is something, whether as our director has said that you are plugging out the entire family here for your own revenue. But that is something a narrow idea. That is something. I think so.
You cannot plug out a family by law or anything. Only thing is that by incentivizing and persuasion, if this happens, what will be the scenario? That's what the paper is.
Yeah.
In fact, in my submissions before you, I said that the cultural factors and pulling factors are important.
Important. Yes.
You cannot substitute for that.
Yeah, you cannot.
I mean, I think he's making a hypothesis academic.
So I think there is a slight miscommunication. Can I just?
Yeah.
So he's not asking them to forcefully, migrate.
It is not that,
Yeah.
but invariably,
But the question.
the government is thinking about doing it. That is invariably, they are deliberately doing it. Yeah.
No,
Government will not be acting in constitution if it does that. The government will never do it. I mean, please. And then carry on with your.
One of the things that we need to be looking at is, see, if we compare Gujarat and Maharashtra and look at migrants there, so you will see that you will have migration where there are a lot of cultural similarities. So, and also distance. So what is the average distance a migrant is covering to work in Maharashtra and Gujarat as compared to migrants in Kerala? The average distance would be maybe twice or three times higher than what a migrant in Maharashtra and Gujarat would be.
I think what Sir can consider adding in his paper is the sociological and cultural factors which are also coming in the way. Now come to your question.
Regarding GST, I think what I have understood from Dr. Narayana Sar's point is that he wants something state-specific additional rate. For example, 6 plus 6 is now the equal rate. If plus 2 or minus plus 2 or something, the maximum 2, if states adopts, what will be the consequences? I'm thinking from my perspective.
What is it? 6.
There will be a state rate plus something addition. It is not recess or I think I'm supposing. Yeah. Am I right or not? Yeah. Plus 2. So if plus 2 comes or something, for example, Kerala says that for a particular item, 6 is the union, 6 is the state share, plus 2, that is something, it is not in Tamil Nadu. Naturally, it will end up in what we call it as a tax war. Actually, GST is not intended, the original literature says that the intention of GST is not improve the revenue. The revenue should come naturally. Uniformity of the rate is a basic premises in which it has been built up. Even now, it is very difficult to change also because you have to change the GST and rate, that rate, etc. The best example I will give you, maybe it may be, I'm telling some criticism, it is not a criticism. When we introduced additional cess to the petrol, I have asked the state GST department whether your revenue has increased. They said that unofficially, maybe you may correct it. Our revenue from petrol and diesel come down because of this +2, because broader people are, they have announcements. That is, if you have 1,000 rupees petrol, you will be saving 50 rupees. Now, after 5 kilometers, you are entering into Kerala border. This is an announcement. You can see in Tamil Nadu. I have seen that. And I have also filled my thing and that by reduced the revenue to the state. Yeah, every week to work. So this may relate. For example, in a building material, if I can get from Tamil Nadu a 2% rate, there will be a person should be coming it.
If it is plus transportation cost, if it is less profitable.
Now also people are bringing it because even at the same rate, nobody can prevent you from bringing from other states. So best example of this much of hue and a cry came in the assembly, not to put the cess, but government of Kerala put it because of political thing, but their revenue has come down. Petrol. Revenue has come down. What is the use of that? What is the use of putting 2 rupees extra in the petrol? Revenue koranju petrol.
But I think one point.
No, this is my.
I think I agree with you. If see.
They have other questions.
Yeah. No, this is only my.
But sir, for
No.
this additional revenue, actually from CERS, it has more than estimated we collected. 1,200 we estimated, but 1,350. Plus cess.
That is something different.
No,
Cess is specific.
actually, your petrol is a different example. Petrol is not a good example. You see, what Anita, other commodities.
No, you have to, other commodity.
No, whatever it is,
yeah.
this cannot be settled just like.
Yeah, okay.
One
This
has
is-
to carry out.
Yeah,
systematic
think about
studies.
it.
We have to carry out
Yeah.
systematic
Yeah.
studies.
This
And
is-
my
it is-
own,
yeah.
my own guess is that now the system, I don't think accommodating an
System, there is not a problem. You can accommodate it because, no, it is a,
Yeah.
no, if you come in because GSTN will not touch it because our own software should change it because we are collecting +2 from a ultimate consumer.
If input tax credit, what will be the?
No, people here think that, I have a humble suggestion that is, flood cess is something which we are voluntarily, we know that it is because of some causes there. This is something invariably coming +2 or +1. +1 will not give you anything. +2 or something like that. Maybe 2% extra you are charging for each and every commodity or some specific commodities. For example, before the introduction of GST, Kerala is the only state in India which charging 14.5% for chicken. Now it is zero. If you introduce 14.5% for chicken, then will be mass evasion will be happening.
Here is that there will be a lot of administrative problems.
This is my apprehension. Think about it.
We'll go to the other question now, please. Other questions.
But even this, the administrative thing.
Administrative, there is not a problem.
Yeah, because.
Revenue is the problem. Yeah, evasion will go up. This is my opinion. No, you have to think about it, sir.
No. That's again, whether evasion will go up or not, we have to look at through the system administration. Because.
The check post is not there. There's a lot.
No, because you see,
Yeah.
you don't require check post.
Yeah.
Because when you purchase, you have to give your address, no? You can't just purchase, and if there is a proper billing,
From
Now, if
other
there is-
states, it's not
Ah,
necessary.
why
From
not?
a consumer, it's not necessary. IGST bill, it's enough.
No,
B2C,
the
B2C. there
states
is
will
no-
undergo a change because
B2C,
if there is levy of this tax by almost every state, then the scene will change.
No, first of all.
That will change.
First of all,
Some
so-
states-
no, first of all, it should be approved by the GST council.
No, no.
Administratively, no problem. GST council says it took another 7 years, seven to 8 months.
I don't think even that is necessary
That is-
because Supreme Court in Mohit Minerals has said that legislatures can decide. Problems are
Yeah, yeah.
different. Council administration approval.
No,
I
these are all
disagree.
consensus federalism. Even now, today, without even a GST council, our state finance minister come to the assembly and say that
He
we
can
will
pass.
release it.
But
But
problems
to
are
what
administrative.
extent it will go in our other grants, etc., etc., it is something different.
There are problems.
There are problems.
Let's go to the other side. We'll go to the other. Students are keeping quiet.
We'll go to other questions,
No,
please.
they're all writing down.
Jerome?
Sir. We'll go to other questions.
Yeah.
Some more questions, please, from non-GST or even GST side, please.
One clarificatory question.
You're a student.
No, I would like to be a student. I would,
He wants to say, come.
no, since they are thinking about questions, I thought, rather than waiting for it. It's again a Gujarat especially is very interesting because their population share remained constant. But their share in taxes increased. No, but sir, last 25 years, that is the fastest growing state.
No, not no. In between, there was a time when Gujarat's position. We have not taken.
Yeah,
So, you see, that's why it's not, that's the reason why. That's the reason why I gave those detailed tables, because it's not uniform.
Mhm.
There are the times when Gujarat has fallen. Now
Yes,
again
yes,
gone
yes,
up.
sir. Yes.
Yeah, so that's why one has to interpret some of those ratios very carefully. One has to look at them. And but overall, what I have to present today is broad brush sort of a thing. Some conventional thinking, one has to move out of it and look at it afresh. That's the,
Come with your.
yeah.
Speak about this problem with equal treatment by Finance Commission. So with respect to the states, you have classified the states into this high income, middle income and lower income states. But with respect to this division and all those things and the income differential, which we have taken on the basis of per capita income, the source of per capita income has to be taken into consideration because for the high income states, majority of them are actually increasing their per capita income on account of their economical structural transformations, like from basically converting it into a highly income generating activities. But when it comes to the case of Kerala, if you are taking the the contribution of economical structural activities towards the income generation and income increase is not that much. For example, if you are taking the case of the contribution of agricultural or industrial sector, when it is compared to the same sectoral contributions in the states of Maharashtra or Gujarat, it's relatively low. So if we are taking the case for Kerala, the major contribution, the major factor that is contributing towards the higher per capita income rise is actually the remittance and the growth of service sector. No, I mean the growth of service sector, which is actually fueled by the remittance. Yes.
Yeah, what is the question?
So in that perspective, if you are taking the case, basically the transfers by the Finance Commission is certainly to ensure there is an equitable growth for all the states in that aspect. So how come the economical structural aspect of the states has to be taken into consideration when we are discussing about this devolution over the time period? That is the fact.
As you talk about development, it's actually a dynamics of structural change happens. Some of the sectors withdraw, some of the sectors grow. When you are coming to, for example, Kerala, in 1950, or India as a whole, in 1950, 21.8% of India's export earning came from plantation sector. Today, Narayan Murthy alone exports more than what plantation sector contributes. And the same plantation sector, you have 72% is less privileged communities. 55% is women employment. And bulk of this plantation is actually in Kerala. So this was a sector, prime sector, which was competed by prime IAS officers to be the chairpersons. Not even a single board has got IAS. All are lower level people. Our K. M. Chandrasekhar was. So what the point which I'm driving at is that when a state has to carry forward a larger segment of the withdrawing sector and maintain equitable and sustainable development, because this particular segment of this economy is concentrated in backward, less ecologically fragile segment areas, because then if you want to, then it is by less privileged communities. So in that context, should such states be rewarded in terms of maintaining, paying the high cost of transformation? Because, I don't know whether I articulate, because we are talking about structural change. This has to be brought in. How can we argue this? Is there any room for making, at least, we may not get, but one could argue that.
Sir, I think, complementing to that, then whether this per capita income is a good measure, that is the issue. Yeah. I think rather than going for
Intra.
because the
Interesting,
GDP
yes.
thing, mainly from agriculture and all those things, then
One Adani makes the per capita income of,
Yeah.
and also Karnataka has the same problem. If you go to north of Karnataka, it's all
then
nothing.
we have to, I think, deliberate more.
Right.
based on this thing.
That happens, Kerala will lose more, that also.
Exactly.
Will we lose?
No, you
We should
see,
be rewarded, no?
no, this, the moment you get into intrastate inequalities, this was done sometime. But there were no takers for it. And then not only that,
10th onwards.
yeah, it has been asked, but there is no easy way of accommodating that. Not only that, my own assessment is that Kerala will lose out.
Absolutely.
Kerala will lose out. So, no, but I want to come to who said Finance Commission grants are for equitable growth? They are not. This is a misconception. They are for the provision of equitable provision of public services
At comparable cost.
at comparable cost. That is the fundamental principle.
That's it all.
Yeah, growth, nothing. So don't be under the.
But then underlying premise of that is to facilitate their catch-up. Because why are you giving this? I am giving basic roads. I am
One
giving
point.
education,
Very
and
much.
this is-
Wait a minute.
Sir,
see why the point is that it may not be. It may not be. This is a major conduit, a means by which they are able to catch up.
I have a submission. Do not, it's my own personal view. Do not entrust the Finance Commission with economic transformation, development,
It's not
everything.
their business.
Kindly do not do that, because it is a commission which is not an elected body, which comes, but does a fair job in distributing the revenues with all the minuses. If you say that every development need should be managed by the Finance Commission, why the Parliament and the Assembly and the elected representatives? This is my own personal question. Anyway, come.
No, this is
the
exactly
finance-
the question which
Sir.
don't put everything to tax.
Sir, for the horizontal equity, the finance commissions have been transferring the money, but still there is no equity. And these states are, the poorer states are getting more, and still now there is no horizontal. Then where is the purpose of transferring this money to this finance commission?
Definitely.
No, there is an important point here. Finance Commission is not there to bridge the disparity. Finance Commission is to induce progressivity in the transfer. I'm sorry.
That's it.
But
Mohan
then,
has
but
answered.
then why do you, am I right in saying that Finance Commission's approach is only carrot, not carrot and stick?
I would vote for that, but that's not happening anyways.
No, some of these have been discussed umpteen number of times. Every commission comes, there are these things, but what one has tried to
But
do.
what
is-
about my plantation? I spent at least I spent 168 reports gave to central government, nothing is come.
We have been time and again telling the finance commissions that kindly do not dabble with sector specific things. Give the general specific grants and be done with it. It is our problem. Now, in the TOR 7 of the 15th Finance Commission, when sector specific grants came back, Kerala was opposing, many states were opposing. So if we ask them to come again in each sector and address the development needs, where are we heading is another question.
No,
Why?
not at all. Not at all. Because no,
We'll allow Professor Narayana to respond and come.
no, these are on.
This is separate. We'll allow Professor Narayana to
Yeah,
respond.
these are on two different planes. Forest cover comes as a proxy for ecology. It's a global public good, environmental sort of a.
We'll discuss it later.
Yeah,
We'll
whereas
expand on
your
that.
plantation,
Maintaining forest cover, you're sacrificing it.
exactly,
No,
exactly.
the whole question is, you are talking about ecology is only carbon sequestration. And when you are talking about the amount of carbon that a hectare of rubber plantation sequestrates, and of course, it may not be as equal as Amazon forest, but then it's a point which one has to articulate. And also in terms, I don't want to take it as a forum, but I don't want to leave that there at that level. But
It's a very-
it's not a settle that. But again, we cannot solve all the problem in this 1.5 hours.
I mean, it's a very lively debate. It can go on, but since the time is 10 minutes more, kindly some questions, brief questions from the student side, from the online distinguished guest side, brief questions, please. Okay, from the student side, brief questions.
Or comment,
Comments also. Comments, criticisms,
or
anything.
even suggestions.
Sir, something related to migration. Actually, you said that Maharashtra and Gujarat, their loss in the natural growth of population is compensating by the in-migration. But I want to know that whether, in case of Kerala, the industrialization is so less, whether Kerala can accommodate that much people as Maharashtra or Gujarat, as they accommodate. And one more thing is that coming to the future, now we are standing at 28th in the ease of doing business rankings, Kerala. But all other states, the southern states, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, and all those, Gujarat and Maharashtra, they are standing on top. Which means that many people will go there, they will invest there, enterprises will come, they will grow up. There is a chance for more migration. In case of Kerala, it's not possible, sir. Is that immigration will help Kerala?
George, don't completely rule it out. In fact, if somebody gives me money, I will go to each of the industrial park in Kerala and do a survey of the workers. In fact, if today, whatever production is taking place in Kerala, in all these industrial parks, some of the industrial parks are doing very well. And the credit goes to the migrant laborers. So don't say that, okay, our rank may be 28 and all. Also service sector, you go to any of these shops anywhere here. Who are the workers? No, not only beauty parlors. You name a sector, you name a shop, type of shop, you will find migrants. Some of them are entirely.
George has a point that the Maharashtra there, they are investing 2 lakh crores at a time.
No.
Kerala
That,
is only 2,000 crores.
No.
Sir.
Listen. That is also, you see, Maharashtra has lost out that migration number. You see, you see, take the current sort of a thing, the numbers are much larger to Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Telangana, Kerala. It's not high in Maharashtra or Gujarat. It has shifted. So obviously there is something happening in South India. Kerala also it's happening because you look at the numbers, they are not small. Don't bother too much about this 28th rank and all that. But you see, even the existing things have to run, no? And you need people for that. And that are being done by the migrants. And some of these industrial parks, what I gather is, it is sad that, we have not taken up enough studies of these. Some of these industrial parks are doing very well on the on the shoulders of these migrant laborers. Oh, yeah, but wages are catching up, but still there is a differential. Yeah, huge differential. And that's one reason why I have been saying, but one of the reasons is that accommodation is not being provided to many of them. So what happens is quite a lot of their earnings go as exorbitant rents. So if there is some way you can take care of that, you achieve two things. One is you can attract more migrant laborers. Second, counting them in the census, because that has an indirect effect. Naturally, soon that will. That you see, for example, Maharashtra. No. Look at Bombay. How is it that this Mulayam's party has 2 MLAs in Bombay? So that is bound to happen. Why are we afraid of that? We are a country. We are one nation. So why not the Biharis and Bengalis come and so that is how we should be looking at it. If we can go and become part of Delhi or Bengal or yes, exactly.
An ID, then to transfer that.
These are all very simple things. No, once you have a house here.
From the student side, any other questions?
Good.
Comments?
So you take a while to warm up.
Because fresh questions priority now.
But what are the girls doing? This time it's very unusual. Only 2 boys have questions. The girls have no questions. Looks like you are frightened of me. No. That I have announced another prize.
Please, we have some more time, please. Some questions. Sarala. No problem. No other questions? You have? Yes, the presentation and the topic is quite new and the discussion is opening up laterally, please. You have comments also, please welcome. Arapidi. Sarne.
Welcome. Give comments. I'm looking for that. Because I have taught you a few things, so you can turn it on me and say. Yeah.
If there are no questions, I think we have had a very innovative and insightful presentation from Professor Narayana. Deep and insightful comments from our director and faculty, the students. I think this is a presentation which has taken us out of the run-of-the-mill presentations like tax GSDP ratios and other things. In fact, it has taken us beyond the lament and some methods. However, howsoever much some arguments can be put for and against, it is one step forward and it is a good step forward, and one step forward is, last but not the least, the best step forward. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't. എന്നാ പിന്നെ പറയണേ, you should now there will be a bill coming to you for this. And there will be a bill coming for your forgetfulness. Okay, I think I cannot agree with more in terms of saying that it was a excellent afternoon. I think it's almost 2 hours. I think we are much better informed. As I rightly said, as I initially said with some suspicion, I was trying to praise him. He provokes. He has done it. I think let's give a big hand to both, and both of them did a good job. I think both chair, I think, and both of them together. Yeah, both. Yeah. I think it was. And the point is not that we are here to solve all the problems. Now, there are a number of questions came on which we need to reflect further. And I wish tomorrow I will be coming through the canteen during lunchtime. I will be just thinking what is happening on the dining table. If anything about this is discussed, I will be happy. Don't discuss because I am coming. So anyway, what is the worry? That's the only worry. Okay. Thank you. I think it was a very nice, and also we thank all those who joined online, and of course all our Varun and his team, and of course I must appreciate my seminar coordinators. Apart from organizing it, they tolerate me also. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we have a KA discussion on reimagining economics teaching, and all those who have studied economics, all those who have lived or worked with economics. If you have any friends economics, you must be here for that. And no excuse. Pardon? That can be on. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, right.